Planning for distance learning. So distance delivery can be fantastic, particularly in the vet sector. Australia has a vast geographical area, and it's a good thing to be able to develop vocational competencies no matter where you are located. In adult education, there are learners who need to or prefer to learn out of normal work hours because of their commitments. An RTO can offer greater flexibility in unit choice, or even just in the order of units that are being delivered. It really does open up a lot of access. But in planning for delivery, the first thing you need to consider is, can you actually do it? So central to any delivery method is the requirement to ensure that the integrity of the specific training package or vet accredited course requirements will be maintained. Training packages and vet accredited courses are developed to meet the training needs of specific industries and are also reviewed and updated to ensure they remain current and relevant. The training package requirements, and specifically when it comes to the assessment requirements of a unit, may mean that a unit cannot be delivered by distance in full, or it might be able to be delivered by distance, but it's not really cost effective or suitable to do so. For example, if the requirements might identify specific equipment that has to be provided, which is really difficult to come by or is quite expensive. Some units require mandatory work placement or assessment to be conducted in a workplace, and you do also need to consider those requirements. But remember that distance delivery does not mean that you have to deliver 100% by distance. You could provide theoretical training online and even conduct some assessment this way, and then have students go to class or a workplace to continue learning or be assessed in a practical setting with the resources that they need. You do just need to ensure that your documented training and assessment strategies clearly express how each part of the course will be provided so that all workplace skills and knowledge requirements are addressed. Now, another thing to consider when deciding if you can deliver a course by distance is whether there are any additional regulatory or contractual requirements your RTO must meet. So these are the requirements that sit outside the NVR Act or the standards for RTOs. The delivery of some units or qualifications can lead to a licensed outcome, and you will know if you're an RTO that has one of these training products. If you are delivering a vet course that has an additional licensed outcome, you must confirm with the applicable industry regulator that distance delivery is suitable. You must also check the terms of any contract arrangements with any state and territory funding bodies that you might have to ensure those arrangements allow for distance delivery. Now, the next thing to consider is, will your learner cohort be suitable for distance delivery? This is quite important because it's not just about considering the existing vocational skills and competencies of your learners, but also about a cohort's capacity to learn in a particular way. For example, some of the stakeholder insights on our website, one of these is from an RTO who delivers to students with very low language literacy and numeracy abilities. Now, the RTOs identified that these learners can use a computer, and in particular, they use social media, but they have a lot of difficulty in reading and comprehending complex content online. So these learners do need a face-to-face interaction in order to develop their knowledge and skills. Also, don't assume that everyone has access to unlimited internet, or even that everyone has access to a computer. You might be thinking of developing a really good online resource, but if this requires a lot of bandwidth to view, or can't be viewed, for example, on an iPad or even a phone, you might not actually be able to provide it to your students. Essentially, your RTO must understand who the target learner cohort is, including the characteristics of these students, before you begin designing a distance delivery learning program. And the final thing to consider when planning for distance learning is how much and what type of distance learning. So every RTO knows that a training and assessment strategy and your training and assessment practices must consider the amount of training that's going to be provided. If you provide access to online learning content or to paper-based resources with a trainer contact for a certain period of time, say for example 12 months, that does not automatically mean that the amount of training provided is equal to that length of time. In this instance, the 12 months is the duration that a learner has access to course materials rather than the duration of the structured program being provided. You must consider what type of learning opportunities the resources supplied will provide and the frequency of access to these opportunities to determine the amount of training. So for example, if your entire learning resource is a learning module that a person can read and understand, say in an hour, just because they can access that resource for 12 months does not mean that the amount of training is 12 months. But if you have that module along with other readings, videos to watch, an activity to participate, perhaps required Zoom classes, weekly half-hour check-ins, all of that adds up to become your amount of training. As with all delivery modes, you must be able to describe how a student is able to reflect on and absorb the knowledge, practice the skills in different contexts, and learn to apply the skills and knowledge in the varied environments that a real world offers before being assessed.